Everyone wants Elon Musk's billions, but absolutely nobody wants his life. Because the view from the top isn't just about success and innovation. It's paid for in blood, sweat, and a level of personal tragedy that most people simply couldn't survive. This isn't another story about a cool billionaire. This is the dark truth about what it takes to operate on that level of story of sacrifice, obsession, and the terrifying ability to turn off your own humanity to keep the machine running. Let's go back to 2002. Musk was on the verge of changing the world with PayPal and just starting to dream of space. But in the quiet of his home, tragedy struck in the most devastating way possible. His firstborn son, Nevada Alexander Musk, died at just 10 weeks old from sudden infant death syndrome, or SIDS. Imagine the unbearable weight of that grief. For any parent, it's a world-shattering event, a pain that brings you to your knees. Most people would have crumbled, taken time to heal, or been lost in sorrow for years. But Elon Musk did something different. He did something that reveals the core of the billionaire mindset. He shut down. In his own words, he refused to talk about it, describing it as too sad. Instead of processing the grief, he buried it. He walled it off and poured every ounce of his being into his work. The 100-hour workweeks weren't just about ambition anymore. They became an anesthetic. This is the dark secret we rarely discuss. The capacity for extreme compartmentalization. It's the ability to lock away profound emotional pain in a mental vault and continue to function, to build, to execute. He turned off the part of him that was a grieving father so the part that was a CEO could keep firing on all cylinders. This wasn't a choice born of strength, but of a terrifying necessity he imposed on himself. The machine had to keep running, even if the man was broken inside. This emotional shutdown became a pattern, a tool he would use again and again to survive the impossible pressures he placed on himself. Now, fast forward to 2008. The world was in a financial crisis, and so was Elon Musk. He had gone Allen, splitting his fortune from the PayPal sale between two seemingly insane ventures. SpaceX, a company trying to make space travel cheap, and Tesla, an electric car company in an era dominated by gasoline. Both were burning through cash at an alarming rate. SpaceX had failed its first 3 rocket launches. 3 explosions, 3 columns of smoke representing hundreds of millions of dollars gone. The media called him a con artist, a joke. Experts and veteran astronauts publicly mocked his delusions. His back was against the wall. He had enough money for one more launch. Just one. If the 4th Falcon 9 rocket failed to reach orbit, both SpaceX and Tesla were finished. He would be bankrupt and go down in history as a spectacular failure. Imagine that pressure. It wasn't just his money on the line. It was his entire identity, his reputation, his life's work. He later admitted he was waking up from nightmares, screaming from the physical stress. He was on the brink of a complete nervous breakdown. This is where the billionaire mentality gets really dark. It's not about loving risk. It's about being able to stare into the abyss of total, humiliating failure and still function. It's about enduring a level of public hatred and ridicule that would crush most people. You have to be willing to be seen as a fool, a charlatan, and a madman. And on September 28, 2008, against all odds, the 4th Falcon 9 rocket successfully reached orbit. NASA called a few days later with a $1.6 billion contract. He wasn't crazy, he was just early. But to be that right, you first have to be willing to be that hated. This brush with oblivion didn't teach him to be more cautious. It taught him to push even harder. Jump to 2018. Tesla was facing what Elon called production hell. The company was trying to mass-produce the Model 3, and it was failing spectacularly. They were weeks, maybe even days from bankruptcy. The logistics were a nightmare, the production line was chaos, and the financial burn rate was catastrophic. While other CEOs were on yachts or playing golf, Elon moved into the factory. He didn't go home for days. We've seen sleeping on a couch in a conference room or on a pile of blankets under his desk on the factory floor. He smelled of grease and exhaustion. He described it as the most excruciatingly painful period of his career. He wasn't just the CEO. He was the line manager, the engineer, the mechanic. He was physically pushing his body to the breaking point, running on sheer adrenaline and willpower. His health suffered. His mind was frayed. But he believed that if the team saw him sleeping on the floor, they would understand the stakes. This isn't leadership. It's obsession. It's the belief that your physical presence, your personal suffering, is the only thing holding the entire enterprise together. It's a mentality that says, I will sacrifice my body, my health, my sanity for this mission. Most people want the rewards of success. But how many are willing to pay the price of sleeping on a factory floor, smelling of failure, with the entire world waiting for you to collapse? And this relentless obsession inevitably bleeds into personal life, often destroying it. The mission to save humanity, as he defines it, leaves very little room to love a single person. Musk's personal life isn't a fairy tale. It's a battlefield of failed marriages and strained relationships. He's been married 3 times, twice to the same woman, and each relationship has buckled under the weight of his all-consuming work. His first wife, Justine Musk, wrote a famous essay describing herself as a starter wife. She described how his focus shifted from her to his work, how the man she married was slowly replaced by the CEO. His world became about balance sheets and engineering problems, and the emotional connection withered. When your mind is constantly occupied with solving interplanetary travel or averting a climate catastrophe, the small, intimate moments that sustain a relationship can seem trivial. The obsession has a body count, measured not in lives but in broken connections and lonely nights. He wasn't choosing billions over love, chose the mission, and the mission demanded everything else as a sacrifice. He's often seen at massive boardroom tables or events, surrounded by people but fundamentally alone. It's the ultimate paradox. A man dedicated to the future of the human race who struggles to maintain a lasting connection with the humans right next to him. So what does this all mean? The story of Elon Musk isn't a simple hero's journey. It's a cautionary tale. It's a look into a mind that has been rewired for a singular purpose. The emotional shutdown after his son's death, the willingness to face public hatred during the SpaceX failures, the physical self-punishment during production hell, these aren't separate events. They are all symptoms of the same core mentality, the ability to sacrifice parts of your own humanity for the sake of a goal. He isn't a hero or a villain. He's a machine fueled by sacrifice. His life demonstrates that at the highest levels of achievement, the lines between genius, obsession, and self-destruction become terrifyingly blurred. The real question isn't whether you want his money. The question is, are you willing to pay his price? Are you willing to wall off your grief, to sleep on factory floors, to sacrifice your relationships, to be hated by the world for a decade, all for a chance to change it? Most of us, if we're being honest, are not. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe our humanity is more valuable than any mission. Fuel your mind. Let us know in the comments. Is this level of greatness really worth the cost? And if you're looking to push your own limits without losing yourself, make sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the minds of the world's most influential figures. Thanks for watching.